Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to TLP Live. Hey, Paul, how we doing?
Happy Sunday, Dan. How's it going?
Oh, happy Sunday. You know, it's been a gorgeous afternoon, and just moments ago, as we were getting ready to go live, wind is crazy hot and dark. I hope everything stays up and okay, and I hope someone else out there is watching for tornadoes and letting us know if we need to bail to the basement or something.
Absolutely. Looks like it's supposed to rain around 7. So hopefully we won't lose power and we'll be able to continue on with our show. But I'm really excited about today's show. What'd you been doing today, Dan? It's a Sunday. You've been enjoying anything to report?
No, actually, I came in here to the office. I like coming in and working on Sunday when no one's around. And as you know, we have our 4 interns here, and they're doing a lot of work for us. They work a couple days with you in the shops. And then we're setting up a studio for them here in the office where they can come in and do the video work that they're working on, do some website work. We're trying to put together this new website that has been designed for us, and now we just have to get a couple more pages ready and make sure we can maintain it and get that up online. So I've been working all day on the studio here in the office, and that's kind of fun, actually, putting that together. How about you? What have you been doing?
Well, you know, today, Dan, it was chore day. It was chore day at the house on campus, and so we were going through things, cleaning, and I actually started to go through some old boxes, and I came across a box that had a lot of Timberlake marketing memorabilia in it, and look what I found in the box. Okay, there you go. You got that one. I'm going to show you this one first. Because this one's 1969, and this is a brochure from Timberlake Playhouse with the original theater, and it's got everything inside of it. It talks about the purpose of the theater, it talks about what Timberlake Playhouse is, and it has all kinds of information where people can learn about Timberlake Playhouse from 1969, and it was pretty fascinating. And then I know that I also sent you over a couple of mailers from the 1970s. What do you got?
Now, we're going to have to look sideways at them because they came in sideways and I didn't have time to flip them. So, there's to the friends.
So this is 1975. What I love about this one here is, a lot of our audiences know that our original theater burned down in 1974. And this is in 1975. They were starting to look to get to the new theater, and this one was a mailer to talk to our audiences about the new theater that was coming up in 1975, which is the theater that we have today.
Right. So here is another.
And there it is. And that would be the mailer that actually introduced the brand new theater that we perform in today in 1975. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really kind of exciting. Again, all kinds of changes. And, I thought it ironic because here we are in COVID-19 where we can't perform. They couldn't perform back in 1974 on the theater. And so I thought that was very apropos that I found that flyer.
Yeah, it's fun. There are so many nooks and crannies here. We found a bunch of boxes under the booth behind the box office that we haven't even gotten to yet. One of the first years that I was here, we found boxes up in the prop loft, actually in the loft in the shop that you're turning into a prop loft. And we went through, it must have been 45 boxes, and that was after somebody else had already called a lot of it. And we went through every single box. We found Jennifer Garner's contract when she was here in 1992. We found a letter from Ronald Reagan. There were just a lot of things that we found. A lot of that right now is in our display cases at the back of the theater.
I'm always impressed right when I get a chance, especially right now with the pictures from some of the different decades, the 60s, 70s, 80s, of how many people that have gone on to have such celebratory careers have had a history. They're rooted in Timberlake Playhouse, and it is quite amazing. And I do the same. I am cleaning the shops right now, and I'm coming across props or set pieces or costume pieces from the different decades, and it really is a wonderful reminder of just our legacy at Timberlake and some of the stuff. I mean, I found a jacket. We're redoing our costume shop, we found a jacket. Dan, this has got to be from 1971. It was used in the original time that they did hair here.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was amazing. I put the jacket on and I felt like I was transported right back down to the early 70s.
Well, let me tell you, that probably seems like pretty antique. But I had my jacket here from when I graduated, my letter jacket. That would have been 1970. So I actually wore one of those when I was a youth.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's fantastic. And the interns are definitely helping us. We're very, very excited. And speaking of interns, Dan, what's going on with the education program? I know that we've got some great online classes going on.
Well, we still have online classes that you can register for. There are webinars on Friday night. We have 2 more of those. And then the first week in August, we are running our on-site classes right here on-site. And we're keeping it to a very minimal number of people, 15 people. They're only here for a few hours. The classes are not every day, they're every other day. Then we do some virtual on those days. So if you're at all still interested in getting involved in the education program, please jump on. Get on the website and see what we've got. Call us, ask us questions, send us emails. But it's actually a pretty amazing program. And we're working right now on our fall education program. And then we will continue looking at the kinds of things. Hopefully we'll be able to continue with these virtual classes year round, especially our virtual lessons. Those have just been going incredibly well.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, funny story, Dan, I was actually working with the interns last Thursday. No, I think it was Tuesday. Forgive me. It was Tuesday.
I heard you had an online experience with them.
I got to share. I got to watch Dwayne Brown teaching dance class to 2 of our interns, and they were socially distanced. So we had one in the theater and then one I think was in the lobby, and they really wanted to take the class. And so, our education director, Robert McFletcher Jones, said, Paul, is it okay if you take the dance class? Of course I'm going to take the dance class. I'm a dancer. I want to go take the dance class. So I was actually watching them take the dance class with Dwayne, and they looked like they were having a ball. And Dwayne is so high energy and so wonderful. And they came out after the class was over and they shared that they just had a great time and they can't wait to do next week. So I think that you can still sign up for Dwayne's classes. It's not too late. He is doing a series of them. Again, you could see our website scrolling at the bottom there. Sign up and jump in. It's amazing.
I believe what Robert does is if you sign up yet this week for the second class, he'll give you the recording of the first class. So you can do that with the recording. So when you start with the second class, you're right up to date with everyone else.
Nice. That's the way to do it. So, and moving is the way to feel good about yourself. It gets the endorphins going. And I know that, we're kind of, we're doing our socially distance. We're staying in, we're wearing our masks, but Dan, it is important to exercise. Mental health and physical health are very, very important during this time, and we must not forget to do so. And I tell you, just from after the class, talking to the interns, and their energy was just, through the roof. They were happy. They had a great time. And I can't encourage everybody enough to grab it, sign up, move. You can do it even if you have a small little closet like my New York apartment. You can still dance with Dwayne.
Well, we saw last week when we talked with the students who have taken the classes, how excited they were about what they've taken across the board, whether it's the dance class or the monologue class or whatever. So get out there, take a look at what TLP has to offer, and jump on whatever classes you would like to do.
Isn't it great? It's so great, Dan, because when I first started, you and I talked about what we wanted for this theater, and the education program was a big sticking point for us. We wanted to see if we can begin not only an education program for the summer, but how we can extend it throughout the year and expand to be able to not just have it on campus, but be able to go to schools, go to libraries. And it's working. It's happening. Last year, we had the fall education program that we got a grant for. It looks like it's going to happen again for us this year. And now we're going online.
Yeah, very, very good. Yep, that is true. Hey, we also want to mention the Virtual Gala, August 29th. Oh my gosh, the planning for that is incredible. We're not going to tell you what's in the little box, but you're going to want to get one of those party boxes. It'll be full of stuff to help you party.
Yes, as a matter of fact, go ahead.
Can you tease any of the entertainment? We don't want to give anything away, but can you tease it?
I can't. I know we don't want to give away too much. We're going to save that for a special TLP Live as it comes up. But I can tell you this, there's going to be a myriad of talent that's going to consist of TLP alums from not just the recent years, but I mean, I'm talking the 80s and 90s, 2000s. We're putting that together now. And of course, we're going to put together a piece of entertainment that's going to help us announce our 2021 season. So I know hush hush is the word right now. Get your party boxes, because if you go to the gala, you're going to find out all that's going to happen. Then you're going to be able to see those performances live, and it's just and it's amazing because we talked about, Dan, if we wanted to, if our patrons buy a box and they live in the surrounding area and they would like to come out to pick up their party box as opposed to us mailing it, you can have a tour of what's been going on campus during this summer. You can see all of the transitions that some of the shops have been going under. I'll take you on a tour to see the new prop shop and what's going on in Bandland and the scene shop and the costume shop. And it's going to be a really great opportunity for our patrons to come out, have a quick little visit here, socially distant, wearing the mask, but being able to walk on the grounds if they want.
Well, and we kind of thought of that last week, how I know when I'm at home working and you get kind of bound up in this work and it's like, oh man, I just can't do it anymore. Drive down here and it's like a totally different feeling once you set foot on the property, on the campus. And I know we've had a lot of our patrons that have said, I just miss coming to TLP. So this will be a possibility for you to come on down, park the car, get out. We'll have a little card for you, kind of mapped out where to go. We'll have some of our staff at different places. Again, like Paul said, socially distanced, where if you want to, look into the shop or look into the theater, you'll be able to do that. So
I haven't. Go ahead and finish, Dan.
I'm sorry. Keep an eye on the website and also on the emails, and we'll let you know when that is.
Yes, absolutely. That's going to be coming up. But I did want to share an anecdote. Listen to this story. This is a true story. So I was actually Saturday, I was working on the shop, and we had an alumni, one of our alumni, Kyle Simmons, who now works for Premier Global Productions. It's a staging company. He actually came by. He picked up some old road cases that we were giving away. We were talking about the old times. We were talking about his days. His days was back in the 2006, 7, 8, 9. And then out of nowhere, and I swear to God, this is a true story, Dan, we had two more alumni come out. They happen to be they're based out of Louisville, but one of them is from Milledgeville, and it is Brett Landau and Jan Abbott. They were there. They came from the 80s, the 70s, 80s. So Jan happened to be the same time as our guest tonight, Jane Howdyshell, and she met her husband Brett Landau here at Timberlake Playhouse. He was a lighting designer at the time. They ended up getting married, and they were out here just visiting family, and they came out to the campus, and I got a chance to say hi.
Well, and that's how what's the guy's name? Ryan that got the boxes? Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle.
That's how Kyle came out here too. A couple of weeks ago, we were working on the Revolve with Ryan Pothke, who came out from New Jersey, and I thought Kyle knew he was here and came out to see him, but no, he was in the area. He drove his semi down Black Oak Road, got out, and it was like, oh my God, Kyle's here, and the two of them worked together here back in 2006. So yeah, it's kind of been an amazing couple of meetings like that. So
yeah, it is. It's been, I mean, again, even when we're not programming, the alumni would come out and I get a chance to see them and meet them. And, it was such a wonderful opportunity to just hear some stories. And they took a walk around the campus and they were reminiscing. And I got to tell you, Dan, it really warms my heart when that happens. It's just, it's absolutely fantastic that to this day, and they still talk about TLP, gushing about the magic that they had when they were here. It's truly incredible.
Well, get your tickets for the virtual gala. It's August 29th. If you get your tickets prior to the 22nd, we can assure getting you a TLP party box, because you want that for sure. And if it's after that time, we'll try to get it to you, but can't guarantee shipping after that time. But anyhow, virtual gala, August 29th. We're still having a live auction, silent auction. Fund the Need is important now as ever. And for those of you that purchased TLP items at last year's live auction, your tickets are still good. We'll still do those once we start producing again. In fact, we'll try to do some things to make it a little even more exciting for you, because you had to wait through this year. So, well, Paul, I'm really excited about our next guest tonight, Miss Jane Howdyshell.
Miss Jane Howdyshell, Dan, what an incredible performer, an incredible presence, and I am just thrilled about the whole thing. I'm so glad that she took the time from New York to come on the show tonight.
Jane was a member of our company back in 1974. She played many leading roles. She went on to star in regional theaters across the country before moving to New York, where she met up actually when she first got there with fellow alum Joe Mantello, who asked her to join the Broadway cast of Wicked. Can you imagine going to New York and the first thing is you meet a friend who says, "Hey, come and join us in Wicked." Since then, she's appeared in televisions and movies, and most recently the movie Little, and often on Broadway, where she won the Tony Award for her portrayal of Deirdre Blake in The Humans, which, by the way, was also directed by Joe Mantello. So let's welcome Jane Howdyshell.
Well, hello there.
Hello there.
It's great to have you with us tonight.
Well, thank you. It's such a pleasure. I get teary seeing the front of the theater pop up on screen.
Yeah. Well, and we're actually using an old picture. I don't know if you know this or not, but we have now enclosed all of the front of house with glass sliding doors.
Oh my gosh.
And stone pillars.
Oh my gosh.
And new heating units and cooling units.
Wow.
And last year, we produced all the way through Christmas. And the local high school came in and produced their winter musical here in January.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sure, I couldn't recognize I saw it, but how nice that it's getting year-round use now. That's beautiful.
yeah. So we're now working on the front yard, getting it all cleaned up and the rock cleaned and everything, so we can get a new picture that looks a little nicer than what it looks right now after sitting all winter. But yeah, so that was an exciting thing. Yeah. So where are you right now? Are you in New York?
Yes, I am in my apartment in Harlem, in Manhattan, New York.
Very good.
I've been here the whole time.
It's become a great neighborhood, hasn't it? It's a great. I love visiting Harlem. It's amazing. Good food. Everything is really great up there.
It's quite wonderful. I've been here for about 11 years, and I lived for 27 years in Inwood, way uptown above Washington Heights.
Yeah, I remember my early career in New York. I was looking for an apartment, and someone had said, "Oh, I think I can get you a place up in Inwood." And I looked on the map, and I followed the subway all the way. I was like, "This is the last stop on the A train."
Yeah.
Well, Jane, thanks so much for joining us today. And obviously, our audience know that you are a TLP alumni. And I think everyone would love to know, how did your journey lead you to acting?
I grew up in Topeka, Kansas, which was not perhaps the greatest town, but my dad had aspirations as a young man to be in vaudeville, And growing up in Kansas, he went to Kansas City and tried to break into the Keith circuit there in the mid-20s, 1920s. And he played the ukulele and sang. And he couldn't get arrested, but he did finally end up getting a little radio program there in Kansas City where he sang. And he worked as a magician's assistant for a time on Broadway in Kansas City. And so I grew up hearing his stories kind of about a dream deferred. And but I was very attracted to all those tales about his aspirations. And when I was 14, there was a community theater group starting in Topeka for teenagers, and I auditioned and got cast in a play and was hooked from there on. And all during high school, I worked in the summer theater with the little community theater there, and in the school years, I did plays at school, plays and musicals. And when I left Topeka to go to school, I went to an acting conservatory in outside of Detroit called the Academy of Dramatic Art. And that's where I received my education, my continued education in Detroit.
Great.
And my first season at Timberlake followed my graduating from the Academy. It was in 1974.
1974 was your first year here at Timberlake.
That's right.
Great.
That's my first big job.
What were the shows? Do you remember the shows of that season?
Oh yeah, indelibly. We started with Last of the Red Hot Lovers, and I played Elaine Navazio in that. And then I think it was followed by Thieves Carnival, and I was in that. And then we did Damn Yankees, and I played Lola. And that was followed by a 19th century American melodrama called Under the Gaslight, and that was the show. It was during that production that the theater burnt to the ground.
But you were there for that. You saw that.
I was there for that, and that was high drama. And the community rallied around us. It was an amazing thing, actually. And the women in the surrounding towns brought their sewing machines out and scraps of fabric and recreated the costumes, and people donated props. And within, I think, 5 days, we moved to the Karen Kupsina Theater on the Scheimer campus and reopened the show and finished the run of that play. And then for the rest of the summer, of course, we were at the Karen Kupsina because the theater was gutted. And after that, we did Company, and I played Amy in that. And then the last show of the season was And Miss Reardon Drinks a Little, and I played Anna in that. It was a great season.
It was a great season. Wow, that's a great season.
Yeah, really interesting.
Andy tells the story of how he missed one performance through all of that. So through the fire, and reopened a few days later. And actually, 2 seasons ago, we did a show at the Karen Kupsina. We did a Christmas show. It's now Henry's Double K, and we turned that second floor back into a theater and built a stage. And that was
wow.
So yeah, kind of went back to the TLP history roots.
And they got the whole lighting grid in that theater too. So the one with the massive handles that you put up and turn the power on.
Oh yeah.
Still there.
I felt like I was back in my lighting class in college.
That's right.
That's what I started.
Throwback. And you know, the second season I was at Timberlake was the following year, and that was the summer that the restaurant at the campground across the street burned. So, and I swear I had nothing to do but there was quite a lot of drama around those first couple years I was associated with the Playhouse.
Yeah. So you started right away at TLP. How did you get up here? Did you? I mean, you obviously auditioned somewhere for TLP.
At that point in time, Timberlake Playhouse came regularly to the acting school where I was a student, and they auditioned people every spring. And so I auditioned for it and was cast and thrilled. Yeah.
Wow.
You went to school in Michigan, right?
What's that?
You went to school in Michigan?
Yes, it was the conservatory called the Academy of Dramatic Art on the Oakland University campus, just outside of Detroit. And yeah, it was an interesting school. It was founded by John Fernald from RADA in London, and he brought an entire faculty over from London, and it was a conservatory training program based on the RADA curriculum. So it was real strict, incredibly technical classical training, and it was an intensive program for a couple of years. Yeah.
So I take it.
So what were some of your roles here at Timberlake?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah. What were some of your other roles here at Timberlake?
Oh, at Timberlake. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how many I did, but I think I was in at least 25 shows over the years. And of course, I remember the musicals because they were so challenging and fun to do. I did Music Man, and I did a little night music, and was in Showboat, and Hello Dolly, and there's Hello Dolly. Boy, that's me, age 27, with John Otten, wonderful actor who played Horace Vandergelder, and yeah,
John's been down to visit the last couple of years. He came down a couple of years ago to see Fiddler on the Roof.
Lovely.
And he was here last season for Manna La Mancha.
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah, no, John and I had a lot of fun together. We did a number of shows together. But in terms of plays, I did some great plays too. Equus and Life with Father, and Same Time Next Year, and Six Rooms Riverview. So many. It's hard to
we had Russ Leander on a couple weeks ago, who was in a part of that season.
Yes.
And he was a part of Equus, and I believe also Joe Mantello was a part of that cast as well. Is that true?
That's right. That's right. Joe and Russell were both in that company all summer, as was I. So we did a number of plays together, the three of us, and we were great friends. Joe was a kid just out of high school, basically around 18 years old. He was one of the waiters in the Harmonia Gardens scene, I remember. And I thought he was great, and he was a lot of fun to be around, but he really had a chance to show his chops in the last show of the season, which was Equus. And he blew everybody out of the water. He was a phenomenal actor, and he had this emotional well of it's so deep and so strong, his work. And I remember thinking, boy, that kid's going to go somewhere. And but after that summer, then that was my last summer at Timberlake. I didn't see him again for years and years. And then after I'd been in New York for a while, I went to see Angels in America, which he won a Tony for, and he was just splendid in it. But I felt kind of shy about going backstage, so I didn't go back and say hi to him. And it wasn't until I was doing a play off Broadway that at the Public Theater called Well, Joe showed up after the play, and he said, "Do you remember me?" And of course I do. And he said, "It's so good to find you." He said, I didn't know what had become of you. And I said, "Well, I ended up doing regional theater for a year." And then after Well went to Broadway, he invited me to go into Wicked as Madame Morrible. Oh. Because interestingly, he was the only person in New York who knew that I'd ever done musicals. When I moved to New York, I took all the musicals off my resume because I wasn't really competitive in the New York musical theater scene. I didn't dance particularly well, and I didn't have a lot of training. I mean, my musical theater years in regional theater and stock, I was able to hold my own. But in New York, it was very clear to me that I needed to be focusing on going for straight plays. And that's because at that time, it was in the early 80s, there was no crossover between doing musicals and plays. You did one or the other. You got kind of pigeonholed that way. So I hadn't done any musicals for years, but Joe remembered me as a musical theater actress. And so he put me in Wicked. And that was so much fun to be in a big Broadway musical, you know. And then he directed me in an off-Broadway play that was great at Manhattan Theater Club. And then several years later, he directed me in The Humans, which ended up being a really big hit of off-Broadway.
Yeah, and that's the role that you won your Tony for.
That's right, yeah.
Well, so you guys met at Timberlake, and you would go on to have such a wonderful after career with working together, and that collaboration continued.
Really beautiful relationship, yeah, and we remain friends and stay in touch now. So
amazing. You said that you did most of your musicals prior to moving to New York, and you studied. It sounds like your conservatory study was probably more dramatic and acting based. Is that true?
That's right. It was a classical curriculum, really. A lot of Shakespeare and Moliere and the Greeks and modern classics as well. But it was just a more classic curriculum, and those were the plays that I really enjoyed doing. And when I graduated from school, I really wanted to focus on doing classic seasons. And at that point, it was still kind of the golden era of regional theater. And my idea of the perfect career was to be able to work in regional theaters around the country and do, numerous plays in a season in a theater as a resident actor. And for 27 years, for the next 25 years, that's basically what I did. I moved to New York, I got an apartment there, I kept the same apartment forever, and would go in and out of the city and work regionally, and did those classic seasons all over the country. I was a real gypsy for about 25 years, and I'm very, very grateful for those years in regional theater, because it's what really turned me into a crafts person. And I really had a lot of varied opportunities doing that, much more so than I think if I had gone to New York and tried to stick it out there, because there's so many actors in New York. It's so competitive. People do kind of see you narrowly. But in regional theater, it was actually cost effective to hire actors like me who were versatile, because you could hire someone to do 3 or 4 shows with a broad range of roles, and basically you were getting one actor for the price of 3, because the shows would overlap back to back. You'd be rehearsing one while you were performing another. So that's how I made my way in the world as an actor for a quarter of a century, really. And it wasn't until about 2000 that I put my focus on New York and stopped traveling, stopped going out of town to work, and focused on doing new plays in New York. And that was a big transition for me, and it was a really happy transition. It was timely. It was time to start doing that, and my work started to grow in different ways as a result.
That's an amazing journey. Go ahead, Dan.
We had the pleasure of seeing you in The Humans I think, was that at the Roundabout Theater?
Yes, we opened The Humans initially at the Roundabout Theater at the Laura Pels. It was off Broadway. Mm-hmm. And we had a 2.5-month run, I think, there. And then we transferred immediately to Broadway on the heels of that, because we were very well reviewed. And did it for 6 months at the Helen Hayes Theater, and then transferred to the Schoenfeld Theater, which is another Broadway house, which was even larger, and did it for another 6 months there.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience with that show. And then also, you have a New Humans project going on now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well,
Whatever you can tell us.
no, the playwright was asked by the producer to write a screenplay, screen version of The Humans, which he did, and then they decided that he would direct the film, and I was asked to join the cast for the film. So we shot that, gosh, I guess it was last September. It's so hard to remember time frames now because the world is so surreal. But yeah, it was about a year ago that we shot the film of that, what had been that play. And it's in post-production right now, and it will be released sometime, I think this year. But how it will be released and where it will show up, the screening or, that all remains to be seen. So much of, well, all of the industry, as you both know, is being ruled by the pandemic and what's possible and what's not, and the realities of, future work for all of us down the line is somewhat in flux right now. So when the film will come out, I'm not sure, but it was very exciting to do a film version of that play.
I know we're all looking forward to seeing that for sure. And for those of us who haven't seen the play, they're going to get a chance to see your performance in it when the film is released. So I know that we're all going to be looking forward to that.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks.
Jane, I have a question for you that I'm sure our audiences want to know. A lot of our residents come here, and as you know, Timberlake, we do a lot of known titles. So the titles have already been done. They might have heard a cast recording. They might have seen a version of that title. And you have done that obviously in your career. But then it comes to when you say you do new work, you're starting to originate roles. Talk a little bit about your process and how you approach a role that hasn't been excavated by anybody before, and that you would be the one kind of originating this, bringing this character to life.
Yeah, it's so interesting because of course it's a very different process. Generally, when working on a new play, my experience has been that you enter into a longer-term process that involves usually having numerous workshops of the play where a dramaturg is present usually, as well as the director, as well as the playwright, and everybody's in the room while the play is being worked on and discussed, and often writing is happening while the workshop is happening. So as an actor, the real role of an actor in the development of a play is to simply be open to change and to really listen to what the creatives are talking about in terms of the way the play is developing, and being flexible, and you're there to support the writing process, basically. It's not about your performance per se, which is very different than if you go into rehearsals for a play that's been tried and true and been done perhaps, thousands of times if it's an old classic play. And your job is simply to find your interpretation of the role that's going to make it distinctive for the production and for you. But on a new play, your job is to really simply be there to facilitate the writer and the director and the designers if they're on board, and in terms of creating the work. And it's very interesting. I love being in the room when all of that's going on. And often each playwright has their own writing process, of course, but often the process, if you're attached to a new work, it can go on for a long time. I worked with Lisa Crone on a play that she was writing. It was directed by Lee Silverman. And I came on board with the play fairly early. It was just kind of half written at the first time I worked on it. And I worked with them on that play in development for 4.5 years. During that time, that included many readings and workshops, and then a lab a 3-week lab that we did at the Sundance Theater Lab, and then an off-Broadway production at the Public Theater. Then there were more revisions, and then we took it to ACT in San Francisco and did it a year later there in a much larger theater, because there was a Broadway producer who was interested to see if the play would size up. And after that, more workshops for another year, and then we did it on Broadway, and that ended up being my Broadway debut. And
you were released Broadway debut as a director as well, wasn't it?
it was all of our Broadway debuts. It was extraordinary in every way. This play was called well. It was the playwright's Broadway debut, the director's Broadway debut, my Broadway debut, and every actor in it.
Wow, what a great story!
Yeah, it was thrilling. Everything about it was unprecedented, and it was a very unlikely play to actually move to Broadway, because it was odd and quirky, kind of defied description, which meant it was impossible to market. You couldn't come up with sound bites to describe it. And very successful off-Broadway at the Public Theater, and the critics loved it. But it was a year between that production and moving to Broadway, so it kind of lost its buzz and momentum. And we were a critical hit when we opened on Broadway. We got the best reviews in the season for straight plays, and we were a box office flop. And absolutely, we previewed it for a month, for 4 weeks, and then we ran it for 2 weeks after we opened, and we closed. Because the producers were really hoping that when the reviews came out, which were fantastic, there'd be a box office bump, but there was no bump. And so we closed the show, and the day after we closed, the Tony nominations came out, and both Lisa, the playwright, and I were nominated for Tonys. I mean, it was one of those Broadway stories. It's like kind of heartbreaking, but kind of amazing too, that we even made it to Broadway. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't have anything but wonderful feelings about the whole trajectory of the whole experience. All 4.5 years were amazing working on that play.
And it's Jane, you talk about that where you're with writers and the creators as you are workshopping it, labs, maybe an off-Broadway production, maybe a regional production, and then it continues to change. Once you open on Broadway, and they always, the adage is that you stop writing when you open on Broadway because they tell you have to stop now.
Right.
As an actress, does the role continue to evolve, or do you feel that your performance has to kind of lock into some sort of a stasis of, okay, I must now repeat this? How do you approach the post opening on Broadway?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. I wouldn't say that the work necessarily evolves once you open, but I never feel frozen once I'm open either. If I keep working in the right way and in a focused, concentrated way on the integrity of the play as it was directed for that production, I find that my work doesn't change so much as it deepens. And that's just the gift of being able to repeat something over and over and over and over again. I've never really experienced something getting stale for me. I love long runs, actually, and because there's still an evolution that happens through the repetition, the grace of repetition, and then of course the audience is different every night and responsive in a different ways, and so as an actor you have to always remain open and flexible in terms of accepting the way the people who are there to hear you that night, the way they're hearing you, and so the process never ceases to fascinate me. I don't remember ever being tired of doing something, even when it's a very long run.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jane, you've done a lot of television, movies. how is the approach to television, movies? I remember one night I'm watching one of my favorite shows, Blue Bloods, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I know that person. It was the Blue Blood show where you were like a school custodian or something like that.
Yeah, and I was the perp.
Yeah, I know that. I felt bad when they put you in handcuffs. They actually,
I know.
Yeah.
I did too, and I'll tell you why. The reason I felt bad was that it was sub-zero weather, and it was out an exterior shoot, and everyone else was bundled up, and I didn't have a coat on. So that was a brutal arrest, and we had to keep doing it over and over again.
So how do you approach those genres differently, or do you?
Yeah, it is. It's really different. I mean, to me, television and film work feels far more technical than work in theater. Now, if I had started out in TV and film, I would probably think that the opposite. The theater feels so technical. The theater for me is like a fish in water. You know, it feels like my natural habitat. I never feel that way when I'm on a television or film set. I really haven't done that much, and by that I mean I've done numerous episodes with certain shows and stuff, but they're always small scenes, and I'm usually just in for one scene. So it always feels like I'm just shot out of a cannon, and there's no rehearsal. Very little rehearsal happens in film work. It depends on the director. Sometimes you get more, but in television, there's no rehearsal and there's no process, which I am very used to, and it's actually one of the things I love most about acting, being in the process. And so, doing film and television, by and large, just feels like a real technical exercise of hitting your mark, knowing where the camera is, giving a very simple, subtle reading of things, because the camera picks up everything you do. So it took me a while as a theater artist to learn how to size down the work for on-camera things. But yeah, it's a whole different thing. I always appreciate getting that work because it's a nice, it's like a supplement to your income. But it's not. I don't think of myself primarily in any way, shape, or form as a television or film person. Now, an exception to that was working on the human film was an utter joy, that I was so familiar with who that character was, and I'd done so much work on it prior, so I felt really, really comfortable on set. And I had a supporting role in Greta Gerwig's Little Women, and being on the set for that and working with Greta was extraordinary for me, and very unlike any other film experience that I'd had, in that she works very closely with her actors and talks to actors in the same way as a theater director would, because Greta comes from the theater originally herself. And that was deeply pleasurable to work on that with her.
Great. Is there a dream role, Jane, that you have your sights on?
Excuse me. You know, I used to have a bunch of them, but I don't anymore. At this point, because I've been fortunate enough to do a fair amount of new work in the last couple decades, and those have been so satisfying for me, working on those new plays. I feel like I want to continue doing that. You know, I want to continue having the surprise of being introduced to a role that nobody's ever done before, and the challenge of that. I find it very creative and exciting to do that kind of work. There was a period of time, years, where I wanted to do Glass Menagerie, but you know, that time may have come and gone for me. I don't know. It's okay if I don't do it. I had a chance to do some Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller and all those great American playwrights when I was doing regional theater all those years. So I feel like I've had a lot of very rich opportunities as an actor, and And I try not to be too specific about my goals, about what's ahead. I really just want to take what comes down the pipe and be grateful for it.
Great. Yeah. So Jane, you spent a lot of years here at Timberlake.
Yes.
Recount some of your favorite memories of Timberlake Playhouse and the Theater in the Woods for us.
Well, of course, doing the plays themselves was very exciting, always, and a lot of fun. And the camaraderie within each company, each season was precious. It was just precious. It was fun and a real testament to the collaborative spirit of theater. And summer stock, in any circumstance, no matter what theater you're in, is always, it's like theater on steroids, you know. It's so intense, the experience, because you're working so fast, so hard, you're under so much stress, so much pressure, the adrenaline's pumping all the time, and you're exhausted and you're exhilarated and all of that, you know. I mean, it's just, when I think back on those summers at Timberlake, I think about all of that energy. And I do think that summer stock is really good for young people just because of the amount of energy that it takes. I can't imagine doing it now. But anyway, another thing that I really remember so fondly about being at Timberlake Playhouse was the surrounding communities. Mount Carroll itself, of course, and all the people there that I remember, and the businesses and the support of the board who came from all the surrounding towns, and the people in Chadwick and Sterling and Savannah and Clinton, Dubuque, and just all of the communities that would come to the theater every summer, and you knew that the community was very proud of having that theater in their midst, and they felt a kind of ownership from them, and there was a kind of celebratory experience every night. So I remember standing in the wings and hearing the audience, you know, and I knew that people were there because they were proud of their summer theater, and they were not only supportive, but they were very excited about the collective community experience they were having. And then, you know, there were those moments when it was really tragic when that theater burned to the ground, and really horrible and devastating when that restaurant burned the following year. And other things would happen in a given season that were, you know, dramatic in probably very difficult ways. But you always felt the support of the community when those hard things happened. And people would show up in the most amazing ways. And I remember all the many kindnesses, large and small, from so many people from the area around Timberlake. And then, of course, there were the summers themselves, which were magical. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm sure it's exactly the same way in that way. It's been very interesting to hear about Timberlake as it's grown and evolved over the years, and all the improvements that have happened there. It's just awesome. And it's really beautiful, a beautiful testament to the theater and the people who have continued to run it, and to the community itself, that it is still going. Because many, many summer theaters, venerable places that have been around for a long time, have shuttered now. And regional theaters as well. So the fact that the surrounding communities still support Timberlake is just, it's beautiful. I find it very moving.
They're definitely magical still, Jane. Just like when you did the kind of magic you've experienced, I can happily say is definitely still present.
I'm so happy to hear that, Paul. That's lovely. I love that all these young, aspiring, excited actors are still having that creative experience there. It's great.
They really are. They really are. And you know, I know it sounds cliche, but what advice would you give to a young performer who comes here and joins our resident company, and this might be their first professional job, or you know, maybe they are just kicking their professional career off? How, you know, what would you say to them?
I'd say, first of all, you know, of course, have a good time, have fun, enjoy it, appreciate it. It's a unique experience, and just stay awake and alive to every experience you have. But also really, really appreciate and revel in what it is to be part of a company, and what it is to be dependent upon one another, and what it is to be in a collective that is creating theater. I don't know if it's still the case now, but another thing that I loved about all my years at Timberlake was not only did I act, I worked in the costume shop, I worked in the set shop. Sometimes I would run props on shows or stage managed shows, or I worked in box office. If there was a show where I was not acting, I was working backstage or around the theater in some ways. And we all maintained theater too. That was our job. And as a result of that experience, I, as an aspiring theater professional, I learned about what every job in the theater was and what it takes to do it. And as a result, that set me up perfectly for the rest of my career in terms of appreciating and respecting every single person who works in the theater, whether they're in the box office or in housekeeping or running the lights or shifting sets or doing wardrobe, etc., etc. Everybody is integral and in equal measure important to making that theater run smoothly and well for the audience. And I got all of that from my Timberlake experience. So I do hope that the young actors who are coming in now still get that important thing, that, you know, we're all part of a collective, and none of us can do what we do on our own or alone.
Well, the tradition does still continue, Jane. They do, our resident company, they participate in building sets and working in the shops and getting an opportunity to see how theater works both on stage and off. Awesome. And listening to you talk about it is truly inspiring. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's lovely to chat with you, Alice. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. You know, you have a lot of fans out here in Northwestern Illinois. A lot of people watching the Tonys a few years back and cheering your success. Any final words that you want to leave us with?
No, just everyone, of course, stays healthy and safe and observe all protocols, wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance. We'll get through this eventually, and our theaters will reopen again. And I know that the community will be so supportive as always and happy to get back out to TLP. Thank you, everybody in the Mount Carroll area, and for my beautiful youth.
Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
All right.
What an amazing interview.
Oh, she is inspiring. She is inspiring. I love the fact that, you know, we've been getting some comments during this interview, probably some of the most comments we've been getting. And I agree with that she remembered all the communities. She remembered Sterling and you know, Savannah, and just rattled them all. It was like, and she remembered every one of her shows that she did. Oh, man, she is an inspiration for sure.
Well, we agree, Lori. It was amazing to have her, and it is so nice for, and she has been this way ever since I have been here at TLP. We went to see her at Humans, and then she invited us out with her afterwards, and we had a drink and talked. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person, and what a talent! What a talent!
Loves her as Lola and Dan Yankees
and Dolly, absolutely. Hello from John and Barb. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, John. Hey, Barb.
Yeah,
amazing.
Fond memories when Jane was at TLP, and I loved John too. We were glad to see John out here a couple of times over the last couple of years. So we hope, John, hope you and your wife come back out again and join us once we can open this up.
And maybe there is a world where we could see Jane out here one more time.
We kind of planted that seed offline with her, and we've been talking with her agent, who was also part of the '83 group that was out here last summer. So loved watching you. Loved the CSI part you played. Yep. It's fun when you're watching a show that you always watch, and then someone pops on. It's like, whoa, what's that?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Interesting, informative. Absolutely. What a great. What a great interview, and here, I wonder if that's a relative. Patty, hello, glad you're on with us tonight. It was an honor to play in the pit and watching Jane from Diane Willis. And you were out to see her in Madame Morrible in Wicked.
I forgot to ask her what year she did that, because I saw Wicked pretty early on. I saw it with Dee Dee was in the role still. I think that oh shoot, her name escapes me, but I wonder if she was in the role as Madame Morrible. I forgot to ask her that question. If anybody knows when Jane was in Wicked, let us know.
Yeah. What a great testament for the lifestyle. It's amazing community effort that all comes together magically with some good sweat equity. Great comment, Rebecca.
Yes.
And yes, we are all huge fans. And good to see Sheldon and Jenny are watching. Best to you, Sheldon.
Well, hello, Sheldon. And hello, Jenny. Hey, Sheldon, I have you are listed as treasurer right here in 1969. We got you right here, bud.
Thank you for having Jane. Sweet memories. We talk a lot about memories, Paul. I know we haven't been here very long, but what's your favorite memory of or maybe favorite experience of TLP?
Wow. I tell you, Dan, I have so many of them. It's hard to, it would be hard to choose just one. But if I have to be put on the spot, I would probably say it would have to come. I was concluding my first season here in 2018, and our board president, Robin Starr, came up to me, and she just looked at me in the eye and she said, "Thank you so much for applying for this job. We made the right decision in bringing you here, and I cannot wait to see what you're going to do with TLP." That meant so much to me because I know that I had huge shoes to fill with Jim Beaudry leaving. He was here for such a long time and made such an amazing impact on this community and this theater. And hearing that from Robin was not only heartwarming, but it was reaffirming that perhaps I did find my tribe in my theater. So that is a favorite memory for me. Dan, what about you? What's one of yours?
Well, same as you. There are so many. I mean, it's great to be able to work here and have your kids and your grandkids around. It's nice that Ben has taken some time to get out of New York and come out here for a week and us work together again. It's been great doing shows and activities with my grandkids, but probably the thing that hits me the most was opening night, I believe, of our second year. We had just been, flying like crazy, getting everything ready and cleaning off the front and getting the popcorn machines ready and the stage ready and the production ready and everything ready. And everyone was inside, and I think Jim had stepped up to start doing his pre-show talk. And I stood out on the front. I could hear the people having fun across the lake. I could hear the activity in the theater and smell the popcorn. And I just stopped for a moment, smiled, and said, "This is why we do it." It was just a great feeling that we were opening up that night to, I don't remember the show and I don't remember how many people, but I just remember that being a great memory, just smelling the popcorn and saying, yep, we're ready to go. So
it is good popcorn. It is very good popcorn.
It is good popcorn. It is. Well, Paul, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll hit back at this in these hot, horrible hot days that we got coming up. And we'll have to be real careful with our outside work, and especially with our interns here. But hopefully we'll get a few things done this week, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you so much for watching tonight. Jane was amazing. We love her. And we hope you guys keep watching TLP Live. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.